All right, today we are diving deep into one of the most powerful and honestly, one of the most bizarre visions ever recorded, the Apocalypse of Ezekiel. It's a vision packed with judgment, hope, and a divine machine that has just fascinated people for thousands of years. So let's get into it. But first, let me start with a question for you. What if you could actually see the throne of God? What would you see? Something beautiful, something terrifying, something that just completely shatters our understanding of physics? Well, the prophet Ezekiel claims he saw exactly that. So here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with the man himself, in his historical moment. Then we're going to try to decode the absolutely mind-bending imagery of his vision. From there, we'll see how that vision sparked a prophecy of judgment, a final cosmic battle, and ultimately, an incredible message of restoration and hope. To really get this vision, we have to start with the man who saw it. Ezekiel was a priest, and he was living through one of the absolute darkest chapters in his people's history. And his circumstances, they are the key to unlocking this whole thing. So get this, Ezekiel is 30 years old. This is a huge deal for a priest. It's the age he's supposed to begin his service in the temple. But he's not in Jerusalem. No, he's in exile, in Babylon, by the river Chebar. It's the 5th year since his king was captured. His people, the best and brightest, the leaders and craftsmen, have been ripped from their home. They're surrounded by the towering monuments of a foreign empire, and they feel totally abandoned by their God. So just picture it. The air is thick with hopelessness. A whole nation is basically in mourning. And then, for this one guy, standing by a river in a foreign land, bam! The sky literally cracks open. It's in this moment of absolute, rock-bottom despair that the most incredible vision begins. And this is where we get to the heart of it all, the divine chariot. The imagery is so nuts, so complex, that ancient Jewish tradition actually said nobody under the age of 30 should even read this chapter. But don't worry, we're going to break it all down piece by piece. So it all starts with this massive storm cloud, a whirlwind coming out of the north. Now, for an Israelite back then, the north, that's where all the bad news came from. We're talking armies, invasions like the Babylonians themselves. So right away, this storm feels like divine judgment, and it's coming at them fast. And then, out of all that fire and lightning, these 4 living creatures appear. Now, these are cherubim, but you can forget any little chubby angels you've seen in paintings. These things are wild. Each one has 4 different faces: a man, a lion, an ox, and an eagle. These represent, well, everything. The pinnacle of creation, humanity, wild beasts, domestic animals, birds of the air, all acting together, perfectly in sync with God's will. Okay, and now for maybe the most famous and trippiest part of the whole vision, the wheels. These aren't your average chariot wheels. We're talking about wheels intersecting inside of other wheels. They can go in any direction, forward, backward, sideways, without ever having to turn. It's this incredible physics-defying picture of God's omnipresence. The idea that God isn't stuck in one place, not bound by our physical space. He can be anywhere, everywhere, all at once. It's a concept people are still unpacking thousands of years later. And if that wasn't strange enough, the rims of these giant wheels are just covered in eyes everywhere. This is all about omniscience, the idea of an all-seeing, all-knowing God. There's nowhere to hide. Every action, every thought is seen. It's a really powerful and, yeah, maybe a little unsettling image of infinite awareness, right? So, floating above the heads of these creatures, Ezekiel sees something he can barely even find words for. He calls it a firmament, like a platform, and says it was shining with the color of terrible crystal. Now, when he says terrible, he doesn't mean bad. He means awe-inspiring, terrifyingly beautiful. It's this dazzling barrier between the world we know and what lies above. And then, at the very top of it all, there's a throne that looks like it's made of sapphire, and on it, a figure. It has a human-like shape, but it's glowing, blazing with fire and brilliant light. And, wrapping around this whole scene, a rainbow. It's amazing, really. Even in this vision that's so full of judgment and terror, the whole thing is framed by that ancient symbol of God's promise and grace. So, why? Why this absolutely spectacular, terrifying vision? Well, it wasn't just some random cosmic light show. No, this was Ezekiel's job interview. This was him getting his official commission as a prophet. And it was the power source for the really, really tough message he was about to deliver to his rebellious people.
The book of Ezekiel that follows this vision is basically a two-act play. Act 1, the first 32 chapters, is just this relentless drumbeat of judgment against Israel and its neighbors for their rebellion. But then, Act 2, from chapter 33 on, it makes this huge pivot to an unbelievable prophecy of restoration and hope.
And to really seal the deal on this whole prophet thing, God does something pretty strange. He gives Ezekiel a scroll that has all these words of lamentations and mourning and woe written all over it, and then tells him to eat it. It's a powerful symbolic act. The prophet has to literally internalize this bitter message. He has to feel its weight, its pain, before he can speak it. He becomes the message. Okay, so after all those prophecies of judgment, the book takes another wild apocalyptic turn. It starts talking about this final, epic battle against a mysterious enemy from the north, a figure named Gog from the land of Magog. So the big question for centuries has been, what's this battle all about? Is it a prediction of a literal future war? Well, while some people do think that, most scholars today see it differently. They see it as an apocalyptic symbol, a kind of ideal picture of the final showdown between the kingdom of God and all the forces of evil in the world. And there's some really good reasons to think it's symbolic. First, the names, Gog and Magog. These were like the boogeymen of the ancient world, representing far-off, hostile peoples. Second, the scale of the battle is just impossible. I mean, the victors spend 7 years just burning the enemy's leftover weapons. And finally, and this is the most important part, the whole point isn't about territory or politics. God explicitly says it will happen so that his glory will be revealed to all the nations. It's a theological drama, not a military battle plan. So once this symbolic victory over evil is complete, the stage is set for the grand finale of Ezekiel's prophecy. And it is one of the most beautiful visions of restoration you'll find anywhere. That deep despair of being in exile, it's about to be completely replaced by this vision of ultimate hope. Ezekiel sees a whole new world being born. At the very center is a new, perfect temple. And flowing from it is this miraculous river of life that literally heals the desert and even makes the salty Dead Sea fresh again. He sees a holy city with 12 gates, one for each tribe of Israel, and the land itself is healed and perfectly and fairly divided among the people. It's just a picture of complete healing and perfect order. And right at the very end, after this whole epic journey, after everything they've been through, we get the final, crucial detail. This new, perfect city is given a name. And that name is Jehovah Shammah. So what does that mean? What's this big reveal? It's a Hebrew phrase. And it means, quite simply, the Lord is there. That's it. That's the ultimate payoff. For these people who felt completely abandoned and forgotten, the greatest possible promise isn't power or riches. It's simply the promise of God's constant abiding presence with them. And that just leaves us with one final thought to chew on. After all the crazy visions, the harsh judgments, the rules, the cosmic battles, the entire book ends not with one last command, but with a simple statement of fact: the Lord is there. So what does it tell us when the ultimate goal of history isn't about human obedience, but about divine companionship?